Well, these are some thoughts I had past couple weeks about how race relations have been going in our country. So I'm going to say something that is going to make some people uncomfortable, right? I believe millions and millions of white Americans voted for Donald Trump because they believed his politics would put black and brown people in what they considered their place. And when I say our place or their place, I mean beneath white people. Now, I'm not saying every white person who voted for Donald Trump walked into that voting booth thinking, I want to hurt black people. Human beings are rarely kind enough to announce their ugliness or their ugly motivations that clearly, right? People have different reasons for voting, and some will tell you it's immigration, inflation, taxes, abortion, the border, or simply because they are Republicans. But I think we have to talk about something deeper that has been running beneath this American politics for generations, right? The fear some white people have of losing their position in the racial hierarchy. Because black people weren't simply demanding equality anymore. We were occupying spaces that generations before us have been deliberately prevented from going into, like becoming doctors and lawyers and professors and executives, judges and mayors and members of Congress, and eventually the President of the United States. So brown Americans were building political and economic coalitions too. Immigration families were building, immigrant families were building uh, businesses and buying homes and sending their kids to college and university and all those kind of things. So they were expanding too. And some people looked, white people looked at that. Some white people looked at that, all that progress, and didn't see America succeeding. They saw themselves losing something, and black and brown people gaining more. That's the part we don't like to discuss so much. Equality can feel like oppression when you've been accustomed to being on top all of these years. And I remember hearing this analogy the other day. Just imagine you all playing a game of Monopoly, and it's black and brown and white people playing the game. And all throughout the years in history, only white people were able to get ahead by buying property and acquiring wealth. We were able to play the game. Black and brown people were able to play the game, but they weren't able to acquire anything because the rules were broken against them or held against them. So within playing this Monopoly game, soon enough it became equality where they could buy property, they could do all of these things. In the 1960s, the Civil Rights Act came about, and we were able to buy property and do all of those things. But just imagine you having played the game of Monopoly all of these years, and the white people have acquired all of the puzzle pieces, all of the property. So there's maybe one or two properties left over, but all of the property, most of it's gone to the white people. Now everybody says the game is equal. You can buy property, you can land, but see, every time I get a foot ahead, I'm landing on a property that belongs to somebody white, or I can't acquire the property, or it costs me more and more to deal with this person and their property. But I'm never able to catch up to all of the wealth and the property that has been bought by the white people. The game is equal now, but I still can never catch up to them because they've had years and centuries of being able to buy as many property as they want to. But I've always been reserved. I've always been restricted from doing that. But most people think it's even now. The playing field is even. Now, why would that be considered even to you? Why would that be considered a level playing field to you? It's not a level playing field. I just want to put that analogy out there. When people say, well, black people are free to do whatever they want to do now and they can be equal with us, it's never going to be equal because you've had 400 years to buy all the property and land without restriction. And I've only been free to buy land without restriction and acquire property and wealth for the last 60 years, and that's it. You've had 400 odd years. But I digress. So if you spent, as a white person, you spent your entire life believing that your group represents what America's supposed to look like, demographically, culturally, cultural change, and people, black people and brown people acquiring things can feel threatening to you. Suddenly the president doesn't look like you, looks like Barack Obama. Your boss might not look like you. The doctors treating you might not look like you. The family moving into the expensive house across the street might not look like you. Nobody actually took anything away from you as a white person. Other people simply gained access to the things that were once disproportionately reserved for you. But if you believe America's a ladder and white people are supposed to occupy the top ring, somebody else climbing that ladder feels like they're climbing over you. That is where Trump's political language becomes important. Think about how often his politics have centered on the idea that somebody is taking something away from white people. Immigrants are taking your jobs. Diversity programs, DEI is taking your job opportunities. Cities are being destroyed by all these black and brown people. Diversity programs are taking away all the opportunities that come for as a white person. The border is being invaded by brown people. America itself has supposedly been stolen from the people to whom it rightfully belongs, the white people. Then comes the promise. We're going to take the country back, according to Donald Trump. That was his promise, right? Millions of white people went into the booth because they were afraid that black and brown people were taking their place in this country. They voted for the cruelty because they thought Donald Trump was going to slap the shit out of the black and brown people and slap them back into their place, hurt them and put them out of commission. We got to get them black people and them brown people back in their place. They don't deserve to have all the things that we have because this is our country. A lot of y'all went into the booth believing that. And a lot of y'all went into the booth wanting that. Put them black and brown people back in their place. That's why you voted for Donald Trump. Because they always want stuff. They always want handouts. They always want this, that, and the third. A lot of y'all believe that. Let's take the country back. Back from whom? That's the question I kept asking. Because Make America Great Again requires you to believe there was some previous period when America was greater than it was now. Not for black and brown people. And black Americans have every right to ask exactly which period are we supposed to be nostalgic about? Was it when my parents couldn't enjoy the same rights as white Americans? Was it when black families were shut out of neighborhoods through discriminatory housing practices where they couldn't buy property like white people could? That's how you all white people have all of this wealth and black people don't. It's because you were able to buy and get wealth and acquire property when black people and brown people couldn't. That's why you have more. You've had 400 years of history of doing it. There's in no way, shape, or form that we would ever be able to catch up to you in any way, shape, or form just that quickly. Was it the best of America when black Americans could serve their country and come home to having segregation, the GI Bill discriminating against black soldiers? Tell me exactly how far we're going back, because some of us remember what was waiting for us back then. And that's why I use the word uppity, because you all think black people are uppity, brown people are uppity, wanting equality, wanting the same things that you are able to acquire. That word uppity has a particular history when directed at black people. It means we've forgotten the position somebody else believes we're supposed to occupy. We're supposed to occupy the position behind you, below you. That's what you think. Millions of Americans went into the booth because that's what they really, really think and voted for Donald Trump. Okay? They believe we weren't supposed to become educated. That's why HBCUs were invented, because we couldn't get into the universities of white people. So they gave us the HBCUs so we could get educated. We became too successful, too outspoken, too demanding. You stopped asking permission. That's what makes this bigger than Donald Trump. Trump didn't invent racial resentment in America. That would give one man entirely too much credit for a problem this country has been cultivating for centuries and years and decades. What he understood was how to politically activate that resentment, that white resentment that was already there, because you white people already resented black people. And when people say, why black people keep bringing up race, we never bring up race. We will never bring up race ever again if you white people just understood one fact. You think you're superior to black people, and black and brown people should be beneath you. It's inherently what you think, because you think white is the default. And as long as you think white is the default, you will always have that in your back, in the back of your mind, as being the you will always have it in the back of the mind that black and brown people should be behind you and you should be the default. And black and brown people can feel that. We understand that completely, and we rage against that. People say black people hate white people. We don't hate white people. We just understand that you feel superior to us, and we know that you're not. You have had 400 years to get ahead. We've only had 60 years. If you look at it truly, dedicated to the Civil Rights Act, truly, we've only had 60 years. Donald Trump just gave people permission to say that America had changed too much and promised that he could change it back. That's why. Make America great again. Make those black and brown people get back in their place again. That's what it was. And here's the irony. Black and brown people succeeding does not require white Americans to fail. That's what y'all don't get. Just because we succeed doesn't mean you're failing. There isn't some fixed amount of dignity sitting in a warehouse somewhere where if I get another box, somebody white has to surrender theirs. My equality doesn't reduce yours. My daughter getting an opportunity doesn't require your daughter to lose one. That's why I couldn't understand the DEI thing. But that's what you all think. You think if I get an advantage, you're going to get disadvantaged. That's where that white grievance, that white male grievance come from. You think because I have an advantage, then you're going to get less of an advantage. That's what they think. That's what millions and millions of you guys who went and voted for Donald Trump think. That if you give opportunity to black and brown people, that means you get less opportunity. If you give immigrants an opportunity to thrive in this country, it means less opportunity for you. That's what y'all think. That's why a lot of y'all voted for Donald Trump. But equality does require something very specific. It requires giving up the expectation of superiority. And I think that is what white people are actually mourning. White people are not losing equality. They're losing exclusivity. White people are losing the assumption that they should automatically be first in line simply because that's how America operated for generation after generation. So when I say I believe millions and millions of white Americans supported Trump, partly because they wanted black and brown people to be put back in their place. I'm not claiming to know what was inside every voter's head. I'm talking about the political message they were willing to support. I'm talking about the hierarchy that message promises to restore. White superiority, because I know exactly where my place is. My place is wherever my ability, my work, and my ambition can take me. And if seeing black and brown people standing beside white people instead of beneath white people feels like you're losing something, then maybe the problem was never that we got too uppity. Maybe the problem is that you got too comfortable looking down on us. This is what I truly believe.